You can be anything you want to be. Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do the right thing, then nothing happens. But when you do right, guess what? Good things happen.
It comes down to making the right choices. Making the right choices. 100%. This movie is about making the right choices. Calogero's dad, played by Robert De Niro, uh, the hardworking man. You know, he'll remind us of dad no matter what.
I don't think these days the working class man or woman gets the credit that they used to. I don't know if there's another movie out there, and I'm pretty sure there are, but that has so many life lessons that you can take from it. I think fear in a short time period might have a more powerful effect over love, but in the long run, love is always gonna last longer than fear.
Is it better to be loved or feared?
That's a good question. It's nice to be both, but it's very difficult. But if I had my choice, I would rather be feared. Fear lasts longer than love.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Brothers Geekout Retro Movie Reviews. And today we're reviewing A Bronx Tale, 1993. Directed by Robert De Niro, based on Chazz Palminteri's one-man play. Hopefully I said his name right. So his film's a mixture of crime, coming-of-age themes, and a moral tale of 1960s New York. Has an influence of classic gangster films and real-life inspiration, and a hell lot of life lessons, which we're going to go through. I think this is one of the movies that we always talk. It's such a rewatchable movie. I would have to say, at that gangster genre, it's one of my favorite movies because it's such a... There's so much life lessons. I don't know if there's another movie out there, and I'm pretty sure there are, but that has so many life lessons that you can take from it, especially someone coming from, and when I say our background, I'm talking about like the streets. And I'm not saying we were street men or whatnot, right? Yeah, but we were involved, you know, growing up in the streets of Tottenham. We
In
were
that
out
era,
there
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that sort, you know what I mean? And this movie, there's so much you can take from life, like so much life lessons you can take from that, right? And we talk about it all the time. So let's get into it, right? Let's geek out. Let's get into the plot. Let's get into the character development, and let's talk about some of the life lessons and how this movie kind of impacted us in a way. It's one of those movies that I think has a lot of impact. Kibbs, what's your thoughts? What's your initial thoughts on this movie, man?
Oh man, listen, this is probably it's up there in like one of our probably our family like top 10 movies that we love watching. And it's still impactful to this day. I absolutely love it, man. It's not that cinematography that Robert De Niro did, dialogue, the script. I know Chaz is a big hand to that as well. There's so many iconic moments from this movie, bro. It's not just there's not like that one thing. It's like the whole story of following Calogero. Did I say that right? Yeah, Calogero on this
Calogero,
journey. Yeah. From him being a boy to an adult, and you know, being mixed in two worlds. You know, the reality of being the family guy and then being the part of a gangster's world, and you know the confusion between reality and you know that type of reality. It's crazy, bro. Like, you know, because you love both sides of it.
Yeah.
You know, we love both sides of good and evil. You know what I mean? And the thing is, sometimes it's not even evil. It's just a different type of good, I suppose, a different type of respect. You know, I think that's what it teaches. It's a different type of respect from both sides, from the hardworking man to the wise gangster man. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a great film, bro. Like the film, it has this texture and this feel to it. Like even when I watch it now, it's like it just looks beautiful, and we don't get movies like that now. They are really like, and I feel like we're in Dad's age era now. You know, when he was like, oh, you know, I can see why he likes his Western movies because they don't give that same tension and that same feel that movies give you now. Now it's like bang, 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 bang. You know, every 30-second, camera moving all over the place. You don't get that moment to just actually chill. And I think with Bronx Tale, you get to absorb that part of New York City, that part of the Bronx. You get to absorb that. And I don't think movies give that sort of feeling no more. You don't get to absorb that surrounding. And I think like this movie in particular, and all those other gangster movies, this one stands out for a reason
Mm-hmm.
because it wanted you to feel like a New Yorker as well, and that part of New York as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great film, bro. I love it, man. It's one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites. There, you know, it's got one of the best quotes. You know, I'll never forget that, man. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent, man. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. It always plays on my head. Always plays on my head, and I can already picture Robert De Niro saying it. You know, we're given so much talent in different ways, not creatively, but you know, mentally being disciplined, all of those things, you know, they are talents. They are, you know, gifts that we kind of progressed and worked on. But wasting it is like the hardest part. You know, like to see that, like, you know, man, that guy's talented, man, or that or she was
Mm-hmm.
amazing, you know, and it's like encouragement in a different way. Now, his dad in that film, Calogero's dad, played by Robert De Niro, uh, the hardworking man. You know, he'll remind us of dad no matter what. And that's what we see. You know
Always
what I
said
mean?
that.
That's what
We always
we'll
said
always see.
that.
That we'll always see that is that that's our dad. We're Calogero, but then we do like the outside, the different side to what Chazz brings in because we could say he's one of the uncles. You know what I mean? So it's like great storytelling, bro. Great storytelling, and even from their perspective as well. So great
Yeah.
film, bro.
This
I
is
love
a
it. I absolutely love it.
I mean, the background, I mean, Chaz wrote this as a one-man show, and I was listening to
Yeah.
his podcast, and he was saying that, you know, studios and whatnot wanting to buy it and whatnot. Robert De Niro kind of approached him. I think Robert De Niro saw it, and Robert De Niro said to him, if you take it to studios, they will take control of it, and they will not allow you to play Sonny, right? So Robert De
Yeah.
Niro said, let's us do it. I'll direct it. You can play Sonny. I'll play the father. I mean, it's so amazing. And this is a perfect movie and storytelling of making us relatable to see Calogero, right?
Mm.
You know, it's so great. I'm not an Italian kid from the 1960s Bronx, but I feel so connected with this character because Robert De Niro is like our father, and like you said, Chazz Palminteri is that gangster life. Which, listen, man, growing up from that age, come on, man, we grew up listening to hip hop, watching the gangster movies. So when you're on the streets, bro, come on, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've changed my whole way of life now, but I spoke a certain way, I acted a certain way, I wanted to be a certain way. I'm just, come on, man. Growing up, listening to hip hop, I wore jewelry, certain haircuts, certain way of speech, certain clothes, baggy clothes, sag my clothes, watching
Yeah.
Scarface. Listen, I didn't go down drugs or any of that sort of stuff, but I wanted money. Of course, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted girls, all that sort of stuff. I wanted this stuff. I never got it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I got that stuff.
You
But
got
what I'm
some
saying,
of it, bro. You got some of it. You got some of
well,
it.
yeah, well, but I wanted. There was when you're young, bro, and this is what happens with people. Again, unfortunate people in poverty, sort of, or certain areas. When you grow up in that sort of area and whatnot, with those sort of environments, as a young kid, you get influence in that. When someone takes you under the
100%.
wing and you become family, some people have no choice but they get into that. Now, this was a situation where a young kid does have a family. He has a hardworking father, but there is that influence. But what was great about Sonny's character, Chazz's character, it was, yes, he was a gangster, but he was also very influential to him in a good way. Like, you're getting two
Mm.
educations. You're getting education in school and you're getting education on the streets. And what I'm telling you is, like, you need to go to school. Like, he protected him. Like, when you go through that whole movie, bro, the film's so rewatchable. When you get to the end of the movie, it's like, end of the day, he was a gangster. He was a bad guy, because that quote you'll never forget when he didn't rat on him. And De Niro said, "Yeah, you done a good thing for a bad guy," because he was like, "I done a good thing, but I didn't rat. A rat is a bad thing in the neighborhood, right? You don't want to be a bad thing in the neighborhood." It's like, "Yeah, you done a good thing for a bad guy," but at the end of the day, he saved C's life. He saved Calusio's life because he knew his friends were pieces of shit, right? And
Yeah.
Chaz, the
Yeah.
gangster, like that's what I'm saying. This is the crew that want to be gangsters, and the real gangsters saying, you don't know, like, stay away from this kid." Right, the real
Yeah.
gangster protected him from these idiots, basically, right? And he saved his life. And De Niro's character at the end, you know, his father says, like, you know, I didn't hate you. I was just a bit mad at you because you made my son grow up faster than I wanted him to. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
saved his
yeah, yeah.
life. You saved his life. The gangster saved his life. You know what I mean? It's so good. I swear to you, right? I was watching Real Time's Critics out there. And I can't remember what film they were talking about. But they were talking about certain movies that have wasted time on it and not an ounce of fat. For me, in my opinion, this movie, I don't think it has an ounce of fat in it at all. Like scene from scene, minute to minute, has meaning to it. Not just takes you forward to the story, but just has character development, have meaning to it, and just like life lessons from it. Like this movie's like a philosophy movie, man, of someone growing
It
up in the
is. It
streets,
is.
man.
It is.
So good.
I think what Chaz did when he did this was to give the both sides of the reality of this as well. And Calogero being the middle ground on this, he's having the battle between of thinking, which life is actually really good, you know. But I think we've known this as well, like that we could take good and bad of each part of someone's wrongdoing, someone's good doing, and what we kind of, because there are going to be things we're going to relate to more, The guy, even though he was a gangster, he played his part in the community. He helped people out along the way as well. Yes, he had to do some bad shit along the way, and it's not good money, but he still financed that. He's just like a really good bad politician. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But with morals, he's got morals. Like we live in a time right now. This is like reality TV show at its worst, bros. Our political system and people in government are absolute dickheads. But I can have respect for Chazz's character for what he's done, because they're going to have turf wars and beef, and they're going to do what they do with each other. But when it comes to the local community, they still provide. They still look after them. They make the community safe. Exactly.
You know what? In Japan, yeah, I can't remember what year this was, but years ago when there was an earthquake, right back in the days, you know who was first at the scene giving out medical aid and food and it was a Yakuza, faster than the government. The Yakuza was out there doing that, right? In Japan, one of the reasons why it's safe, and I'm choosing Japan as an example, is because of the Yakuza. Like, you don't do any street crime here. Like, it's not because they're scared. Look, people, obviously, there's a respect value in Japan. It's a different kind of environment. But what I'm saying is, like, the Yakuza keeps the street, you're not, like, safe in the street. Like, people ain't going to go out there and do street crimes or whatnot, because the Yakuza is going to come after you and whatnot. Now, I'm not saying their gangster life is good because they're doing so much horrible stuff. But what you're saying is, like, with Chazz's character and what he did in that area of the Bronx, he kept that area safe. It was under him. Any trouble came in that area, it would have to go through him. And we saw that in a clear example of those bikers, right, that came through. I mean, such a great scene. I mean, and it's so cool as well, because I remember being young and using some of his lines. I'm thinking I ain't shit, but certain lines that Chazz will use are so cool, and they have so much like that's how a real gangster talks. Like, a real gangster doesn't shout and scream or whatnot. A real gangster talks in his demeanor. When those bikers came through and they were like, "Oh, we want to just have drinks or whatnot," it's like, all right, he spoke like a gentleman. They can stay, right? Then they wild out and whatnot. And he asked them to leave, and they were like, "Fuck you." I shouldn't swear, sorry, it's Ramadan. But they were like, "F you."
Sorry.
And then the way he walks away, closes the door, locks it, and he goes, "Well, now you can't leave." Oh, it was so good, because there's like, even this explained in the story when Calogero, he's doing the narrative, and he's like, the look on their face is all dropped.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can feel it, and that's like, you can feel that, you can see it, and you're like, that is like the coolest way for you to tell some people you're finished. Rather than that whole, I'm gonna F you up, I'm a this, I'm a that. It's kind of like, well, now you can't leave. Like, how scary
That is proper
that?
scary.
I mean, bro, it's that's what I mean. The dialogue in this movie, I would have to say, is one of the most like realist, down to earth, but just like impressive dialogue, man. I think everything is just so amazingly written and shot in this movie. And like you said, when you were just saying earlier, like the between the two lives, because one life does look great, nice suits, nice watches, they look cool. He's talking like in a cool sort of manner. Everything's cool. They were in a bar making money, and then you've got your father who you see is just driving a bus, and they're struggling for money. They're living in a certain apartment. And when you are that kid, it's like, well, what is right? End of the day, man, both ultimately taught him what was right, which was do the right thing, go get an education, live a good life. You don't want to live this life, and that's what
Both of them
Sonny
taught him,
told him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Sonny
what
was
both of
saying
them
the same
taught him.
thing. Sonny was saying the same thing. It's funny you did the hand gestures. I was getting it the other day, and I feel like I got that from pop culture, like the way people express themselves when they're passionate about something and when they talk. Somebody was like, "Kids, man, you use your hands like sign language," and I'm like, "That's because of what I grew up with and how I saw people express themselves." I think Sonny was a big part of that as well. Sonny always spoke with his hands as well,
Yes,
and
yeah.
then growing up with hip hop as well, like it's my expression of how I feel in that moment. That's why I use my hands a lot when I talk. So I can't sit still, but it keeps me as a person concentrating, knowing that, oh shit, you know what? Sometimes I can let my hands do the talking as well.
Yes, yeah. It's
But that's
interesting that
me
you say
physical, but
that.
it's funny, yeah.
So I tell you something, it just reminded me a couple years back when we got into this whole digital Zoom world after COVID and everything, right? So all these trainings were coming out on how to interact more over Zoom just because we weren't there in person, right? The leader of APAC team, of the sales team, actually used me as an example because I always used to present with my hands, and she
Yeah, yeah,
says
yeah,
what
yeah.
G does is so interactive. So you're right. I mean, there is like especially in this digital world and whatnot, and as we connect through Zoom and whatnot, the hand gestures, the body movement, the facial expressions, the expressions of tone, all of that is a way of connecting through this digital world because we're not there in person. But yeah, you're
Exactly.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, and look, and let's be real, there's a stereotype or whatnot of Italians, they use their hands, I'm not gonna say any words for crazy and shit. But it was so good. I mean, look, Calogero, obviously, Calogero, we obviously spoke of him, young Italian American boy growing up in the Bronx, idolizing the local mob and whatnot. I think, just following his journey, there's like I said, it's so relatable to any kid and whatnot. And even from his name, man, from his name that his grandfather gave to him to changing it to C because that was the cooler thing, and the gangsters called him that. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's so much influence that he got from wanting to live that life,
Mm.
and then thinking that he's living that life in a way when he's with his boys, right? Because they're acting all wild and whatnot. But then you come to realize again that life is not this hype street kid gangster thing. It's
Mm.
very organized. It's professional, man. At the end of the day, they're professionals. You know what I mean? They don't handle themselves without that's not professional. There was that one scene when that kid was selling guns. You know what I mean? And you would think in a gangster world that stuff is like right. It's like no, not in our neighborhood. You don't sell that shit in our neighborhood. You're gonna make this whole neighborhood hot or whatnot. But it's just again, Calogero just just going through that life, and you're kind of seeing him that he's with his friends. He cares about what his friends think, and that's one of Sonny's lines, right? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And he's trying to teach him, and that's such a great lesson as well, that the people used to tell me before growing up. Forget about what people think, man, and care about. Do what's best for you, right? Stop caring
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what everyone else. And Sonny kept on saying that. Nobody cares, nobody cares. But he cared so much about what his friends thought about him and all this sort of stuff, which is why he wanted to kind of live that life. But again, Sonny was the one telling him, forget what they think, man. These people, kids are going to get you killed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
do the right, and his dad in a way was saying as well, like do what the right thing is. Like forget about what these other people think about, trying to be a gangster and trying to be cool and all that sort of stuff. Like nobody cares. Do what the right do the right thing. Live the right
Yeah,
life.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and then obviously we spoke a little bit about the father and the gangster sort of influence, right, in his work, the working class father, which, like I said, reminds us of father as well. Like he's such an honorable, disciplined man. Like the working class man has that trait of discipline, waking
Mm.
up every morning, doing that 9 to 5 or whatever it is, to earn money, to put food on the table, a roof over your family's head. That's literally what you're doing it for. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Lorenzo, that was De Niro's character, basically.
Lorenzo,
And he kind of
yes.
warns him of the mob life, because the mob life, yes, it's cool, it's fun, but do they have the discipline of a hardworking man or to do that 9 to 5? No, which is why they go into that life. They don't have that. And discipline is not a bad thing. Discipline is the success of life. You ask anyone, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Discipline
yeah.
is the
100%.
success of life. And the mobsters and whatnot, yeah, they got a good life and everything, but they don't have that discipline, and they would not be able to do what Lorenzo does, 9 to 5. That's why Lorenzo said that line, You see, you think they're tough guys, but you see who the real tough guy is, trying to wake up every day doing that 9 to 5 grind. Then you see who the real tough guy is. And the truth of the matter is, from that perspective, mobsters, gangsters they're not tough from that perspective, from that discipline perspective. They're tough from a street, violent, aggressive sort of perspective.
No, 100%, 100%. They, I mean, they're not waking up for a 9 to 5 job. They need to get to a certain place and do a certain thing. They work under a Chazz. It's a different type of lifestyle, right? It's a different type of risk as well when you take that, because yes, it's easy money, and I don't have to be on the system. I just get paid by, Sonny. Yeah, the hardworking, the working class man. Yeah, definitely, bro. That line always gets me. That line's a bit of that's a motivational speech, and nobody will know that it's a motivational speech, because it's like, it's so true. I feel like even now, bro, how important that is now. And as a father now, like that's your push. You got to have the space, you got to have food on the table. It's hard enough to actually worry about the rest of the world when you're like, I can barely provide for my family right now. We're still in that era. We're still in that era, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
it hasn't got any better for the working class. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that working class man, I mean, I think that's such an honorable thing. Don't get me wrong, man. People, yes, we should study. Alhamdulillah, we got good jobs. People should study and strive to be what they want to be. Of course, but I don't think these days the working class man or woman gets the credit that they used to, because, man, that's what built these countries. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm trying to say? And they don't get the credit that they used to. And I feel even now to this day, bro, like, and they had purpose when they worked. It wasn't like, oh, this is my ideal job. No, I don't like this job, but I could do it for 50 years like Dad did, for example, because my purpose in life is to put food on the table for my kids and a roof over my head for my kid and my wife and kids. And that's something that you can't find in people today. And listen, man, I'm not going to go into details, but obviously I work in a corporate world or whatnot. Man, the people that I hire and the people that come and go, they don't have that value, that loyalty value, not just the loyalty value, but the value of I'm doing this because of my wife. I want to provide for my family. It's more like, no, this is a career. Like, I have the flexibility to move where I want, and I'm going to move towards more money or more, ambitious sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not. But what I'm saying, that core value of like, oh, wait, hold on, I'm actually doing this at the end to support my family. I want my family, I want my parents to do good. Now, if you're coming from a rich background, maybe you don't need that. But for me, man, alhamdulillah, we're good. I'm good with money and everything. But no matter what, man, I'm always doing this for our family, mom and dad, our family, everything. My wife, inshallah, one day for my kids. That's going to be the ultimate goal of why I'm working. And that value in the working class man is one of I think the discipline and the key values of that, man, because they do jobs for 40, 50 years that they don't like, but discipline makes them do it. Mike Tyson said an amazing quote about discipline, because discipline is something that you don't want to do, but discipline is something you don't want to do, but you do it like you love it, right? You know what I mean? Like, you do it like you love it. You know what I'm trying to say? Which is why you do it, and you wake up every day and do it, and you finish your job to the best of your abilities, and you do it, right? It's such an amazing. We got to give working class men and women more credit than they deserve, especially in these days.
No, 100%, bro, 100%. And I think this movie kind of clearly shows that as well, and like the teachings of it, and passing it on to Calogero to understand that as well, because the working class do not get the love, bro. You know what I mean? And the values are so much more. And it's weird, like society-wise, is slightly different because of what people are seeing now.
Yes, true.
And everybody feels like they are something, and that's great. I feel like there's a positive to it, but there is a shitload of negativeness that comes with that, because you're living 2 or 3 lives. People don't actually tell you how you actually feel, or what they're doing it for. Like, when everybody asks me, like, how do you disconnect, Kibbs? How do you keep up with all the stuff you're doing? I was like, this shit is hard, man. It's not easy. Because remember, I'm still doing a job. I'm still trying to provide for the family, and I still do stuff I love. at the same time. Yes, it's hard, but you have to have a reality to why you're doing it. Because I want my kids to see that we got to do cool shit. You know what I mean? That's the working part of it, is that I work hard so that my kids can see that if they work hard, they could do the same shit. You know, they could be proud of what they've done. Plus, they got some cool memories in there as well. So I think
Definitely.
it's really
That's why.
important that we put it out there. It's like, and movies like this show that. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
working class. Yeah.
Well, that's why I think De Niro's character Lorenzo, he is the moral backbone of this movie. Even
Yeah.
though the glitz and the glam was with Sonny, and even though Sonny was, I believe he's in the movie more than Lorenzo and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the backbone, the moral backbone of this movie and this story, and of the working class man, the hardworking man of integrity, is Lorenzo of this movie. And at the end of this movie, and maybe as I get older, and even probably when I was young, to be honest with you, right? Even though when you were young and had that mind frame of like, Sonny is the dude, actually, man, De Niro's the dude. Like Lorenzo, I mean, as you said, as a father now, as a working class man father, like, you're like, yeah, Sonny's awesome. He is amazing. But De Niro is the dude. Like, he's the one
That's my reality. That's my reality.
Yeah. That's a reality.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my reality. That's why I think we connect more to that character now, because we have something to fight for, to work for. I think that's the main reason why we connect to that. Because yes, Sun is like the social media side of things, the glitz and the glam and all the love and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, that looks amazing. But I'm Lorenzo. I'm the guy on the ground. He keeps me on the ground. I'm the one that's providing, and I'm trying to do the best I can, and not get lost in that, because we have our sunny moments. You walk the red carpets, you do these big interviews. That's our sunny moments. You know, you have control. You feel big in those moments. You know, and then, but I always come back down to Lorenzo's character, because that's my grounded character. That's the guy who's sat on the floor because I got to provide. You know what I mean? Really good. I love that film, bro. It's such a good film.
So
Such a
good.
good,
So good.
great characters. And I think what Chazz did in writing those characters in the way he did, and I know he does it he still does the show sometimes as a one man.
The one-man show.
And he does every single character, which is absolutely amazing. But it's a very well written story, and like he tells both sides of the story very well, and Calogero's journey at the same time as well.
Exactly. I mean, there's a difference between fatherhood and mentorship, right? There's a different place where that comes from. You know, obviously, fatherhood is I want the best for you, and it's a different kind of love, right? Versus mentorship, where and you know, Sonny's character did build a love, you know, for C, and he did kind of see him as a son, and C did see him as a father type figure. But there is a difference between fatherhood and mentorship, because I think at the end of the day, especially the different lifestyles, you know, fatherhood is always going to want the straight and narrow best path for your kid, whereas you know, and it's always going to be tough love. It's going to be more tough love than the mentor, because there's a different kind of love there. Whereas Sonny's mentorship love is more of you know, more street lessons and whatnot. So it's going to be tough love when it has to be, but that's going to be like physical tough love. Like, you know what I mean? He got bad at one point. He's out because he don't trust anyone, and then even him, which Calogero come to learn at the end, they living his lifestyle. He don't even trust anyone. It's like, I don't want to live that. You know what I mean? Because he asked him at the end when there was that scene where he thought there was something in the car, and then he slapped up C and whatnot. And he said, like, you don't trust me after all these years? And he goes, in my life, I don't trust anyone. He goes, nah, I don't want to live that life. He came to learn, right at the end of the movie, he came to learn that actually getting to know the guy who I idolized from the beginning, it's like, I actually don't want to live his life. Which again, a great storytelling, man. Like, at the end of it, man, because at the end of the Chazz, Sonny, who has everything, was actually lonely and had nothing. You know what I'm trying to say? In a way. So beautiful storytelling. I mean, one of the factors that we didn't mention in the film, which was also super powerful in the movie, was the racial division, you know, between the Italians and the blacks in the Bronx back in the days. And obviously back in the 60s, there was a big racial division. with black people, and not just black people and white people, but Italians as well. There was a point in time where Italians weren't seen, you know, they went through discrimination and stuff as well, but then they were at their division and everything. But then there was that. And then what a great, almost like a Romeo and Juliet sort of story between, you know, C liking that girl Jane, who's a black girl from a different neighborhood, right? And again, there was a bit of like, not just prejudice like him. Again, this comes back to where Sonny's like, nobody cares, right? Because this is crazy, right? Sonny's telling nobody cares, don't give a shit about no one says, right? He asked his father, and his father's a little bit like, nah, why don't you stick to a white girl and whatnot? His friends, they're constantly talking bad things about black people. When the black kids are riding past and whatnot, they're using racial slurs. There's a scene where they beat them up and all that sort of stuff, just causing problems for them for no reason. And here, what Chazz does, puts a little dynamic in there where he actually likes a black girl that goes to his school and whatnot. Which was, again, just an amazing part of storytelling of in C's life, basically. I mean, this guy's going from his father's the working man class, loving the mobster world, but also, you know, again, involved in opening boundaries of cultural boundaries, of wanting to know a black girl, wanting to maybe date a black girl. Like, she could be one of the great ones, as Sonny put it. You only allow 3 great women in your life. She could be one of them. And again, it's amazing. Again, Sonny coming from the street perspective, he's like, he had no objections against it. You know, I'm trying to say, where his father was a little bit hesitant towards it. Do you know what I mean? And of course, his friends would be hesitant towards it. But again, I think that's a positive impact from where Sonny, who understands the streets a bit better, and he understands that nobody really gives a shit. Do what you got to do, what's best for you in life. Like, go. If you think she's great, you know, go for it.
No, 100%, 100%. I think that's a really open-minded way of taking that on and showing the hardships of what it was like in that time, and then seeing how open Calogero was as well. Like, you know, when you kind of stop and not think about it, and like nobody does really give a shit, it changes the world in a different way. I feel personally, we've grown up really open-minded. You know, we've never seen people by race or creed or color or religion. You know, we're both Muslim ourselves. We're not meant to judge, you know, a book by its cover. We see who they are, you know. All of my friends or anybody I meet, brothers and sisters, I see the guys all the same. And I think that's what he was trying to kind of push out there, that open-mindedness, that, you know, this is my journey. I want to go and see how it is, like the world anyway, and treat people in a respectful way. And I think that's one thing that we should all take on, is respect, man. That respectful way, and understand and see things, different cultures, different things. You know what I mean? I think it's really important. So it's a nice way that he's put that in there, because there are some harsh scenes in there, but it was just the times. And I think a lot of people don't fear what they don't understand.
Yeah,
they fear what they don't understand, and what they got to realize is that it's taken centuries. We're still in this race battle now. You know what I mean? We're still in this race battle now. It doesn't matter where you're from. You're going to get some sort of abuse, some sort of something. And you could be born and raised here. People still asking you, from where? And like, I'm born and raised in Tottenham. You know what I mean? And they still don't get it. But where are you really from? Tottenham. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like what Chazz did in this was put that tone in there, because it was happening around that time, but to show how open-minded Calogero was as well, because he's lived in 2 parts already of the world, with his dad's world, with with Sonny's world, and to guide himself as well, bro. So really good, bro. I'm glad. Like it's a sweet little relationship, even though it's short. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just leads to obviously the final climax where his boys get killed, right? They wanted to cause trouble. Chazz obviously saves them. Sonny obviously saves him from that. I mean, again, that's just a great scene that these kids think they're tough guys. They're going into another neighborhood. They want to kill them, basically, right? They want to kill the black guys, right? The real gangsters come out and save C. bring him out of the car. Say, get out of here. You guys stay away from this kid. They go there and they get themselves killed and whatnot. But, you know, that was the racial tension that these idiots were bringing, right? Because end of the day, they were riding through the neighborhood. The one who protects the neighborhood, Sonny, was like, let them be. These idiots are the ones who's causing problems. And that's what Sonny's trying to say, that your friends are idiots, right? They running through my neighborhood. They're causing no problems. Let them be. There's no problem. That's what C was trying to tell his friends, but his friends were dumb idiots that caused problems and whatnot between them.
Yeah.
But that love story was nice because when they started talking immediately, it's like, oh, you know, we have so much in common. Like, we like each other.
Exactly.
Like, I like the way your hat is, or let me help you with your hat, and I like your name. And, you know, she called him Calogero. She's like, I like Calogero. She liked his real name. All that sort of stuff is beautiful. And he was shocked to learn her name was like Jane. It's like, Jane, that's it? Like, just getting to know someone, you're like, oh, like, you're nothing, you are like, you know what I mean? You're not different. You're like me. Yes, there's a different cultural sort of thing, but you're actually just like me. Your name is Jane. Like, and I like, you know what I mean? Like, he's actually got the foreign name in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's a beautiful dynamic that Chazz put in that movie, and the test, the Sonny's test.
The little lock thing, yeah.
The lock thing. It's just, again, like, it's silly, like, not silly things, but like, there's something about those, right? Where you're just he's trying to show the value of people, and he saw, like, he put that part in there, right? In the movie, right? Where it's like, doesn't matter if she's a black girl. If she passed this test, it shows the type of person that she is. So she passed that test, right? Which is a little basic test opening the door for you and whatnot. And it just shows the audience and everyone and him for him to reassure him she's one of the great ones. And he showed us that she's one of the great ones. And it doesn't matter if she was black. It doesn't matter if he was Italian and all that sort of stuff. Like, she's one of the great ones. I think that was just a great way, another great sort of character that he put in there, which was awesome. Man, before we get into life lessons, man, was there anything else you wanted to express from this movie that you just loved? Any other character developments? Any other plot summaries?
No, I think we covered most of the main ones. Actually, there is one scene. I think it's our favorite scene, and I think that's something that kind of brings us down to earth as well. And it's one of those lines where you're like, "Oh shit, he's right. He's right." You know, when they talk about the baseball player, do you think he gives a shit about you? You know, is he going to pay your bills? Like, I think that is one line that will be stuck with me for life. Like, we're in this. You know, we're in this. We love a lot of characters. We're in the pop culture world. There's a lot of, you know, people that we really adore and look up. Look, you could say look up to, but we adore because of their characters. You know, you got your Sylvester Stallones, your Arnold Schwarzeneggers, your Muhammad Ali's, all of these influential people that can motivate us. I got to say, I don't idolize. That's the main thing, and I think that's because of Sonny. As weird as that sounds, that's because of Sonny. Because the first thing he said was, "Yeah, you know, amazing player, but is he gonna play? Is he gonna pay your bills?
Yeah,
he ain't gonna pay your bills."
You know, the kid was like, he asked him, "Are you a New York's Knicks fans or whatever it is?"
Yeah.
I can't remember. Forgive me. Whatever. And then he was like, "Oh, I hate him. You know, he lost or whatever." It's like, you know, ask him to pay your rent and see if he cares. Like, it's not true. I mean, it's true. I mean, listen, yeah, you're right. I do have love for certain athletes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
At the end
same.
of the day, they don't pay your bills, man. So, like, I will feel sad. And listen, if they're doing good out there in the world, like spreading a positive message, there's a nicer feeling. But at the end of the day,
100%.
You shouldn't have that emotional attachment to them because they're never going to pay your bills. So if they lose or whatever, it's like, you know, all respect to them or whatnot, but you shouldn't hate them. Or if they do something that you don't like, it's like, they don't pay for your bills anyway. Why should you care? I mean, it comes down to that. Nobody cares. They don't care.
It's nobody cares. Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares. He's not going to pay. And I think that's a really good life lesson that I've taken on. Like I've got to meet some of the greats, bro. That's crazy. You know what I mean? But they're not paying my bills.
Exactly.
They're not going to pay my bills. You know what I mean? It's a mutual respect because I admire the work you've done. And I'll always admire that because somewhere, somehow you have inspired something for me. Yeah. But I know that my grounded part here is that I got to keep on moving. I got to keep that momentum going because if I give up and be like, oh man, You wasn't there for me. I idolized you, blah, blah, blah. You end up putting faith into somebody when it shouldn't be that somebody. It should be faith in yourself and faith in your religion as well. And you end up playing the blame game, which can be dangerous because you can meet your heroes and they could be absolute dicks. And then you can meet some great people, which couldn't inspire you even more to keep doing what you do. But I think that line there is something I personally take on throughout the rest of my life, is that I have to be grounded. I have to be realistic. That's their job, what they do. Yeah, whether it's an athlete, movie star, TV, pop culture, whatever, that's their job. My job is to consume that and respect what they've done and maybe find some motivation out of it as well to do something creative or just take along with me on the journey. Because, something like Doc Brown saying 1.21 gigawatts is something that's continued throughout my fandom of what I do. You know what I mean? So definitely, I think that Sonny's was really good. That's one thing I just wanted to kind of share.
Yeah. And they need us too. They need us too. Like at the end of the day, if they don't have us as fans, they don't get the finance, right? They do it for the fans, right? They do it for the money, they do it for the job, all that sort of, but they do it, they have to do it for the fans as well, because if you don't have the fans, then you don't get the finances at the end of the day. We are your customers at the end of the day. Now, They have millions of customers, so just one person like myself saying, I don't care about that person doesn't really mean much, but if 100,000, if a million does that, then you lose your business, you know what I'm trying to say? They need us to, don't get me wrong, especially in the last year, we've spoken about this, like my perspective on people has changed, right? Just because when real life things, when life's on the line and you're, I don't want to get into it and whatnot, but you make certain comments, you stand for certain oppressors and whatnot, I do lose a little bit of respect. And actually, I turn around and be like, you know what, I did admire your work and I did appreciate your work, but you know what, you as a human being, I feel like based on your stance, I feel like you're a piece of shit. But especially when human lives are on the line, I don't care about political views. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't really care. It's when lives are on the line and you take a certain stance against human life. That's when I'm like, you know what? I can appreciate your art form, but as a human being, you're a piece of shit. And you know what? The fact of the matter is, there's many other people who can actually do your art form, right? So I can appreciate them better. I use Muhammad Ali as a perfect example, in my opinion. I appreciate him in his art form. I appreciate him as a human being. And that's hard to find, to someone both, you know what I mean? Because I could appreciate many other boxers for their art form, Floyd Mayweather, but as a human being, he's a piece of shit and he'll be forgotten about, you know what I mean, in the world. Ali will never be forgotten about because he was one of the greatest boxers of all time and he was one of the greatest human beings. Of all time, you know what I mean? Prophet Muhammad, we believe, is the greatest of all time, but I'm saying Muhammad Ali was inspired. We're all inspired by the Prophet Muhammad.
Exactly. But
Muhammad Ali, just in our timeline and the influence that he had on us through entertainment and boxing, he's definitely someone that's going to live in history as well. But some other people who I just mentioned will be forgotten in history, in my opinion. As a casual, listen. I'm using that as an example. Expert boxers will always remember them. He'll be there in some kind of history of boxing. As a casual, be forgotten about. And I know. But anyway, that's a good line. The other line I wanted to say, that some of the characters, I have to say, like, Mush was funny. He made me laugh, right? The guy that was just completely jinxed, right? Would make me laugh. The scene in when they were playing dice and whatnot, and then like, put him in the toilet. That was hilarious too. Because cover his face. Yeah, I mean, what was his name again? Coffee Face or Coffee Cake or whatever his name is. He was hilarious. Like, that was deep, man. He looked buzzed.
I ain't putting no towel on my face, man. I ain't putting no towel on my face.
And then the big guy, the Earth guy, the planet dude. I mean, I can't remember what his name is. Like, you're breathing all over me, man. Put him in the toilet. I mean, to just put a little, like, I don't know if it was humor or what it was, but I feel like there's a sense of gangster humor in there. Where it's like, put him in the toilet, and I'm just busting up laughing, man. You got 3 dudes in the toilet because
staring at each other.
It's just hilarious, man. Great scene. Another great scene.
That is a good scene. That is a good scene.
Let's move into life lessons from Bronx Tale, because I think, like I said, as we introduced this with, there's so many, and we've already spoken about that, and so many life lessons you could take from this movie which relate to us and anyone. So The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You've spoken that. Absolutely true. This is the central theme of the movie, right? It teaches the importance of making the most of one's gifts and opportunities, right? And we all have gifts and opportunities. Doesn't matter who you are. There is something that you can be good at. It doesn't have to be. It's always going to be unique to you, no matter what. Your unique gift is unique to you, and it doesn't have to be what other people, what you see out there. It's got to be unique to you, and just wasting that opportunity. And we've seen it, bro. We've seen it, and in a way, we've maybe experienced some of that in our own lives. Like we almost gave up on talent that we had. We've seen it with our family members, that we know have had talent. So it's such a great line, and I think it's just understanding not just what your talent is as well, but it's like what you're passionate about. Just follow that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's really important. Really important.
Definitely, man. Nobody cares. Sonny's light lesson about relying on other people's validation. Hard work and self-reliance are key. F everyone else's validation. What we do here, what we do in work, what we do in life, how we present ourselves, how we dress, how we look. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always a sense of like, what do other people care? Man, you really got to get that out of your head, man. Because I still know people to this day, 40-year-old men, 45-year-old, whatever, still wanting to be cool to the public, still caring about what other people think, As a kid, okay, I was that, I have to admit, growing up as a teenager.
Same man. Yeah.
Uni, college, and whatnot. Of course, the brain is still growing, right? The brain, the part, the portal front cortex, or whatever the hell it's called, that makes the decision is still growing, right? And of course, you want to fit in, man. You want to fit, like I said, in school, I wanted to fit in college, in uni, I wanted to fit in. Certain people you think are cool, right? Well, I'm looking back at now, like you weren't really cool, but back then, you would want to fit in. I would do stuff out of my characteristics. Like I would go out and about in clubs and stuff. Man, when I think about it now, I'm like, man, you'll never find me in those places now. I only did it because I did want to fit in. Right? There was that
exactly.
element. End of the day, nobody cares. All those people, bro, I think back, who I went out with or wanted to go out because they asked me to go out. None of them I want to say none of them are in my life. None of them impact my life. The only people that impact my life is you guys. It's me, my wife, parents. None of the people exist anymore, man, who tried to get me to smoke, who tried to get me to drink. Where are they? None of them are there. Imagine I did that for them. Imagine I did that for them.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have done it for myself. I know that I would have done it.
You did it for that. Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be for yourself. Same thing, bro. Same here. Like I've always been like conscious about how I looked or where I went and who I was, and am I the right person in the room? Like, you get imposter syndrome as well. But it kind of told me later on, I learned that, bro, that nobody cares. Be you, nobody cares. But if you're in the right room, someone will care. Yes. And someone will ask questions. But you've got to have that thing of let go, man. If they're going to be interested, and this is just life in general, somebody will come to you. I think opportunities do come to you. Sometimes you have to go for the opportunities. That's, go open the door, but then just be there. But be you.
Be you.
Be you. That's the main thing. Nobody else is going to care. Go be you and then go from there.
I've really experienced that, man. I progressed in my career in the last, say, 8 years. More than I ever have in my whole life of working here and whatnot, is when I really started being confident in myself and started being me and started expressing myself my way. That's when I started being more confident. I started being more strategic. I started being like, everything came out when I really started being myself. But no, it's true. Listen, man, I mean, just in a recent example, not going to say much or whatnot. I won't get into details, but we was at an event or whatnot. Been there for 3 years. And I was just telling these people, like, I'm a very introverted person. I'm not the type of person to go out and meet people. So I'm only now in 3 years of Dubai kind of building a little community. Just a couple of people that I feel comfortable with, me and my wife feel comfortable with. And these people here, they've been there for like a year and whatnot. They already know so many people. And I'm like, that's just not me. But as you said, well, what it is I I've got more now I'm older as well. I've got more confidence in myself to be myself and admit that I'm an introverted person and whatnot. But the right people who I've connected with are the right ones I have connected with, who I have a little community with. Everyone else is just an acquaintance until maybe maybe in the future they could become someone. But right now you're all acquaintances. I don't mean that in a bad way, but what I'm saying is like, I'm not going to go out my way to try to impress you with whatever it is, like saying something or your interest or whatever it is. It's just kind of like, no, like I know it's been 3 years, but it's just the type of person I am. I'm an introverted type of person, and I only connect with the right people. So an important lesson definitely lies, nobody cares. The importance of a strong father figure. You know, Lorenzo, we spoke about this. Lorenzo's unwavering moral compass teaches Calogero the value of honesty and integrity. I mean, we had, you know, we're lucky that some people don't have that in life. We were lucky to have an amazing father figure in our life. And our dad gave us tough love, maybe in a Bengali community, maybe as a Muslim. I think as a Muslim, maybe it's different because I think our parents and whatnot, culture took over more than anything.
Culture. I think it's cultural,
it was
bro.
culture,
it's
right?
culture,
so
yeah.
there were certain things that father wouldn't talk to us about or teach us or whatnot. But there was, you know, what he did teach us about is taking the right path. You know, how many? I don't want to tell dad's story too much, but how many? Because it's a bit heartbreaking. No, dad has no friends, right? Why doesn't he have no friends? Because all his friends went down the wrong path. How many friends did he bring to the house? Well, all of a sudden they went missing, and it's like years later, you're like, what happened to him? What happened to him? They went down the wrong path, and I didn't want to be associated with them. Dad was the most legit dude I've ever known in my life, the most hardworking, legit guy I've ever known in my life, and he cut off all his friends because they took a wrong path in life. And he goes, I don't want that. I don't want that energy. I don't want that around my family. And he cut off all his best friends. And when you get to dad's age now, and it breaks my heart a little bit. And of course, he's got family and some friends, but I'm talking about his like close friends. I don't think he has any close friends because they all went down a bad path. But that's the important. I mean, that is a life lesson that I'm learning from dad now. To this day, dad's teaching me. You stay in a straight path. You don't get involved with anyone who's in the wrong path. And dad's showing that through example, like of his life right now. And I think the importance of a strong father figure from that perspective is just one of the greatest things a father can teach their kids. You know what I mean? That integrity, that honesty, the value of life. Just
that integrity, bro, man, it's so important. Like it's so hard. Like and coming from and me learning more as well, bro. Me learning more. I'm still learning. We're always going to be learning. You know, getting into this parent phase. I wasn't the perfect child as well. I experimented. I went down wrong paths. I did different things, and I'm paying for it now. I'm paying for it now, and I think. But I learned. Like, you know, when I see Dad yesterday, we had some jokes, and I haven't. And like he really enjoys Nia's company because Nia's so touchy feely and always cuddly now at the moment, which is amazing. Like I tell you after, I'm not going to say it on the podcast because it's related to what happened yesterday. But his face made me and Mum crack up. That Mum was cracking up so much, and he was like, "Why do you do these silly jokes?" But then I see Idris doing it, and I'm like, "That's why."
yeah.
Because it's a generational thing. Like I'm gonna always tease and I'm gonna always have that stupid, silly moment. But I just want you to find some funniness out of it as well. But I know I can see it now. It's hard. Like, you know, speaking to Ash yesterday as well. You know, we're coming to that age and we've seen what he's gone through. His integrity is always gonna be number one to him. If there's anybody that I would have got in business with properly, it would have been Dad because his integrity is so strong on it, and he's so legit, bro. Even if you do a little funny business, my guy will be freaking out.
Done a little funny business and we paid the price. We were more fearful of
Yeah.
Dad than we were the police. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, the fact that he can instill that in us as well, and showing up, bro. I think another thing that Dad has done is show up, regardless, whatever.
Yeah.
I seen that man. You know, even he'd be sick as shit. And here's me taking a day off because I don't feel my dad wrap his scarf around his neck, put his hat on, and still fucking lug those boxes. That guy He's done he's done his part, and you know, like I keep telling him, try and enjoy these moments with the kids.
Yeah,
Enjoy it as much as you can. Like that's the
and
main
that's
thing, and you've
why.
done your part. Yeah, you've done
That's
your part.
it.
You've done your part. But integrity, and he shows that. That's the working man. He's always given us that, and we'll continue doing that. You know what I mean? Like bro, you think I like doing fucking night shifts? No, but I think Dad taught me that because it was like I got to provide for these kids now. I have to take that knowledge and that hardship, and yes, it's fucking hard, bro, and makes me think about what he had gone through with four of us. You know what I mean? And with all the shit that he had gone through, and not having nobody there, fucking hell, bro, that's heartbreaking.
But I am in the position today, and whoever watches the podcast, I've traveled around the world. I've got an amazing job because of that. And one of my motivations in life, apart from everything I mentioned, is not to let down not to let down dad, not to let down granddad. The sacrifices that they made is one of my
Mm.
motivations, man. It's like no matter what, I will never let them down. I will never get involved in anything dodgy. I've always wanted to do good by getting a job and following that sort of path. Like, don't I wasn't perfect or whatnot, but I never let them down. And that was our
Mm.
time. Like you said, I want him to enjoy life. You know what I mean? So I'm glad he's spending time with the kids. I'm bringing him out to Dubai next month. I want to take him to Qatar, and I want him to travel the world. He deserves that, and that's what we should be doing
Yeah,
for them. But it's all because of him. For us, it's all when it comes down to all the people that we admire, took a picture with him and blah 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 blah. No matter what, it's always
mm.
going to be that. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah,
to be
yeah.
our main inspiration. So the importance of father figure, absolutely amazing. The
Yes.
power. Oh, this was a great line that C asked Sonny. Would you prefer to be loved or feared? And Sonny
Oof.
responds saying, feared because I believe fear lasts longer than love. Deep line, right? It was all true, but at the end, true respect comes from character, not intimidation. And that is so
Mm-hmm.
true. Because I've seen it in my work, for example. I've seen a way with some people, some leadership act and whatnot, and they act with fear. Man, they have forgotten. First of all, nobody likes them, right? Everyone backchats them and hates them or whatnot, and they can't wait for the day for that person to go. When that person goes, everyone's celebrating, and everyone moves on, and you're forgettable. No one remembers you at all. But someone who's loved will be remembered in generation, like forever. You know what I mean? I use my work as an example, but there are some people who, oh man, I miss that person, I miss their vibe or whatnot. But in life in general, like I say, Muhammad Ali was loved, man. This guy's gonna go down as you know what I mean. That's why he's always brought up, man. No matter what, to this day, the
Mm.
guy's always brought up because he was loved, and it's not because he was feared. People who are feared, man, they don't get far in like that. Maybe in that certain time period, okay. After that, man, nobody cares, and nobody will really have your back. Nobody really would care for you. And love, I believe, definitely lasts longer than fear. I think fear might have a powerful, how do I put it? I think fear in a short time period might have a more powerful effect over love, but in the long run, love is always gonna last longer than fear.
100%, bro. 100%. I feel that's a message that needs to be actually transcended to everybody a lot now. And it's not a message that's clearly been said. And I think some people know it, but they don't. They go with fear, they go with the crowd. And that's the hardest part, bro. When you go with a crowd, it's difficult. When you go with a crowd, it's very difficult because that's your feeling of being belonged and wanted. And don't get me wrong, I fucking followed for a long fucking time, bro. It's taken ages to find my own path and what I can accept. I think the important part is that once you get to that point of accepting it, just accept that, and you don't realize how much love you got actually sitting in front of you. When you notice that and when you see it, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck have I been chasing for, man? You know, the love of money, the love of people's attention, the love of people doing this and that. Social media plays a big part of that because you are actually seeking a little bit from something from that as well. Whether it's people's attention or get those likes and views, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. But I noticed it on my journey that I've got the people here. They're right there. They're sitting right in front of me. They're doing silly things. You know, I don't think I'd ever feel to be squeezed that hard before. You know, I must have squeezed dad like that when I was a baby. You know what I mean? mum like that as well. So it's like it is transcending and it's finding that moment, and it's like, oh shit, I've got everything. It's right there, you know,
Yeah.
roof over their heads, food on the table, but the main people are there to make that a reality. And it's that thinking process as well, because you could fall into something because of a desperation, but you got to look at, oh shit, what the fuck? My consequences is me losing that. My consequence is going to be losing that. And I think it's so important that love plays a big part of everybody's lives. We all crave for it. We all want it. And sometimes we feel lonely because you feel like you still ain't got it. But that's actually the superficial stuff, I think. That's what I feel like I've learned, that it's the superficial stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that we see online, uh, and stuff like that. So love, man, love is so important, man, because you give politician love, you know, a politician that spreads love and joy, that changes everything, bro. You know what I mean? And you had somebody like that in politicians back in the probably 60s, bro, because now you don't even get, I mean, with JFK, with any other political leaders that had more about love about them and wanted to invest in the humanity of things. That is a game changer. But then, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't
I mean,
make
look,
people money, right?
in the day to day, bro, like showing love is just so much. Like, listen, man, like, I don't know, you're walking in the street and someone steps on your foot, like showing them love, brother, it's okay, no problem. Compared to, bro, you just stepped on my shoe, like people on the streets, like, you know, you come across it so much time, like, you know, you cut someone off in driving or whatever, immediately they want to show fit, like they want you to fear them, so they show aggression. Could you imagine what the impact would be if it was love? And when I mean love, I'm like, brother, it's okay, nothing happened, we're good. Respect, love, have a great day. Could you imagine that kind of impact, kind of society that we're living in? Listen, this is a fairy tale society that I'm talking about. Human beings, man, we're ingrained with different emotions and whatnot. And unfortunately, that aggression and that fear is a part of it. But that's how where we grew up, and it's everywhere, but where we grew up, that's what it was. Everyone wanted to be a tough guy. Everyone wanted to show fear. No one wanted to show love. You know, you accidentally do something, you accidentally bump into someone, you accidentally, whatever it is, use someone's gym equipment. I've been in it so many times. Everyone just shows aggression. Like, how much more of an impact would it be if you showed love? Because if I saw you again, I'd be like, brother, how you doing, man? Good to see you. How's everything? Compared to like, oh, that's the dick that just showed attitude for no reason. Like, could you imagine that's who you are? You're a horrible human being. It happens. I mean, like people want to show fear more than want to show love.
That is the sad reality of what we live in right now, bro. And it's a shame it's like that. It shouldn't be like that. Everybody should have like respect and the rest of it. I had an incident recently where that happened as well, and then the person retaliated in such a bad way, it put me in such a bad mood. Where I clipped, I got pick up Laura, and I clipped one woman's back of her foot because we had to go through some gates and shit. I said, I'm sorry. But the way she looked at me was such a disgusting look. Even had a racial slur in that look. Like, that's crazy that you can understand that. And then it put me in a bad mood the whole day after. And I was like, if you had said, oh, no, it's okay, don't worry, that changes perspective, right? So it's really important to start the day off with love or
Man,
an accident or something like that, and just
smile.
say, you
As
know,
Muslims,
smile, man.
yeah,
And
our
as
prophet,
Muslims, we
may he rest in
should.
peace. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not to smile, man, and we should. And it's, I try. Listen, we're human, and it's hard not to. But a smile makes such a difference, man. It's true. It's true, and that's why it's sunnah for us as Muslims to smile and stuff like that. It's tough. It's tough, but it's such a great lesson, though. Love is always
100%.
gonna fair,
100%.
overcome fear. Racism is taught, not inherited. Right, this film shows that how hate is passed down through generations, and breaking that cycle requires self-awareness and courage. We saw that in the beautiful kind of Romeo and Juliet sort of story that they threw in that movie, and that's totally true, right? And this is why we teach our kids and our nephews and nieces, like, you know, love everyone. That's why, again, just from our perspective, that's what we believe Islam teaches us. Supposed to love everyone. No classism, no racism. Like, you go to the mosque, I go to the mosque, brother. Doesn't matter if you're Emirati, Bengali, if you're a cleaner, if you're an office worker, whatever it is, you're all stand by shoulder by shoulder, feet by feet. We're praying. to one God, right? But in general, in society, that you know, love racism is taught. It's never inherited.
It's taught.
That's
It's
why
taught. It's never
it's an
inherited.
unfortunate
Exactly.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
taught. No, that's right. That's right.
Cool. Surrounding yourself with the right people. So Calogero learns that associating with the wrong crowd can lead to destructive consequences. Obviously, in the movie, he almost got killed because he was hanging around with the wrong crowd. And that wasn't Sonny,
Hmm.
that was his boy. Now, Sonny wasn't, that crowd wasn't the best either, but it was his boys who he wanted real validation from and whatnot, because they were his age, his crew, all that sort of stuff. And they almost got him killed. Sonny saved him. So that's important to us, because so what you want for your kids, that you want for you know, people you love. You want them to be around the right people, so they have the right influence to go down the right path and not go down any bad path. So
Exactly.
that is
Exactly.
awesome. Love overcomes prejudice. His relationship with Jane demonstrates that human connection is more powerful than social division. Again, such a true thing. You know, when you have love for someone because of who they are as a person, it overcomes all that social division and all that should be racial, religion, political, whatever it is, man. You love someone as a human being, man. That again, it just goes back to love and fear, man. That love overcomes everything if you just get to know someone as a human being and you come to love them. So love overcomes prejudice. Beautiful life lessons from the Bronx Tales, man.
Yeah.
Let's quickly go through some anything else, bro, you want that I missed from there, that you want to, any other life lessons you might have taken from that movie?
No, man, there's loads in there. I love this movie, man. So it's one of the greats, and it's not really a gangster movie. I think I wouldn't categorize it as that. It is a Bronx Tale. It's almost like a fantasy story about two Calogero growing in two different worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a top 10 movie, and it's difficult to class it as a gangster movie because it's different. It's definitely a like life lesson movie. All right, well, let's move into some, like, quickly finish off with some real life facts and historical accuracies that come from this movie. So the 1960s Bronx, a turbulent time with gang activities, racial tensions, and economic struggles. You got the Mafia influence, how real mobsters controlled neighborhoods similar to Sonny's character. You had the interracial dating challenges. So especially at that time, it happens now, but especially at that time, the social realities of reflecting in Calogero and Jane's relationship between a black person and a white person. Robert De Niro's connection. His father was from the Bronx. So his father was originally from the Bronx, adding authenticity to the film. The Godfather influence, obviously, it's a gangster movie. So the gangster set in loyalty, themes, and cinematography callbacks. Chazz Palminteri's real life story. The film is a semi-autobiography based on his childhood. Robert De Niro's directorial debut. His nod to classic mobster movies that he's been in, like Godfather and all that sort of stuff, Once Upon a Time in America. Films and all these Scorsese style film and whatnot. So he got influenced by that, and this was his directorial debut, which was absolutely amazing. The doo-wop music that you heard, the 1960s, which was a part of the 1960s culture, you heard that throughout the whole
throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, so authentic music and fashion references, and then real mobster inspiration. Sonny's character reflects real figures from the era. So those were some of the historical facts. Just quick shout out to the cast, and we'll finish off with final verdict. So, as you said, Robert De Niro plays Lorenzo. This was his directorial debut. Chazz Palminteri plays Sonny. You got Lily Brancato, who plays Calogero at 17. We've also seen him in other movies, Renaissance Man and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Francis Capra, who plays Calogero at the age of 9. I haven't really heard of him after. Jane was played by Tyrell Hicks. Joe Pesci was in this movie. He was playing at Carmine. He was the one that had the baseball bat to the head in the beginning, where it all starts off. So wanted to give a quick shout out to those characters. I mean, there's so much more, but wanted to give a quick shout out to them. All right, kids, man, let's finish off with final thoughts and verdicts. Like, why A Bronx Tale stands out as a crime drama with heart. How does it differ to traditional mob movies and focus on mentorship and personal growth? Legacy and culture impact, why is it still relevant today? And who should watch this movie, if you could sum that up for your final sort of verdict?
Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't know like where you've been, but make sure you guys watch this. This is like a 10 out of 10 movie for me. It's absolutely amazing. It's still relevant to this day. That's the one good thing about this movie, that it transcends through all time, and it will do continuously transcend through time as well. I think it's a great story told about a journey of a teenager growing up in a state of uh, internal battles of the working man and being the boss man world, and making the right choices. I think it comes down to making the right choices, 100%. This movie is about making the right choices, and I feel like it helps guide you through what Chaz was going through, because it's almost kind of based on what he grew up with. Yeah. Amazing cinematography, amazing dialogue, amazing actors and actresses, great soundtrack, but a story that's still relevant to this day. So if you haven't seen A Bronx Tale, go watch it, man. It's absolutely amazing.
Amazing. I think you summed it up for me as well, man.
Yeah.
So
choices.
guys,
it's all about choices. Yeah.
Choices. Yeah, definitely choices, man. Definitely amazing. Guys, that is our review of A Bronx Tales. Please go check it out. If you haven't seen that movie, you gotta check it out. I think anyone could watch it. Someone of this day and age, this generation, an old generation, it's so relatable to any generation. That's what's great about this movie. It impacts all generations, and I think future generations as well, because it touches on all those social sort of issues.
Exactly.
And everything.
Exactly.
So, amazing storytelling, one that goes down in history. Chazz Palminteri, Robert De Niro. This when you think about them characters, especially Chazz, for me, I know Robert De Niro's got a massive catalog. So does Chazz, but his legacy for me is always going to be this movie. And what a movie! Absolutely smashed it. Also, actually, I didn't even mention, when I was in New York, I went to the Bronx. I went to where they filmed it. I saw the memorial that they put up there. There's pictures of Instagram and whatnot. My friend John Del Rito, forgive me, bro, I forgot your surname, but cool dude. I used to work with him. Always in touch with him. My guy, he lives out there and whatnot. So he took me out there, drove me out there, and he took me to where they shot it.
Is that still on your Instagram?
It's still on my Instagram. I'll post it up here.
You know what? Do me try and find those photos. Send them to me. Oh, actually, just send me the link, and then what I'll do is I'll do a little post so that people know that this is the locations where they shot these parts. All right, that'd be awesome. All right, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's how impactful the movie is. I even went to that location and sort of memorial in the Bronx. All right, man. That's our review, guys. Please take us out, bro.
All right, guys. Massive thank you as always, guys. We hit 1K, man.
Yeah.
We hit 1K. You guys, man. Congratulations. You guys, it's you. This is your channel. This is the content you guys want to watch. So thank you guys for getting us to that number. Massive thank you for following us on the journey. 1K, man. It's been coming up to 3 years we opened up this channel. And you guys have been absolutely amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. Also, remember, check out our social media pages. We are on X, Threads, Instagram, and TikTok, guys. We have different things on there. So we do a lot of giveaways and behind the scenes on X. We do a lot of behind the scenes and like individual reviews. We've got a new horror section that Atia is covering at the moment now. She's going to be doing all of our horror screenings. She's just giving us free reviews for the movies that have come out this year so far. That'll be on TikTok and Instagram. And then Instagram, you'll see kind of everything. And keep an eye on the channel. We've got some exclusive stuff coming to you guys very soon. Very soon. But yeah, massive thank you. And night, my love, guys. One love. Peace.
Peace.